Hey, yeah, been a second. I just wanted to give a little update. Basically, I was sick, so I had to stop doing the node cycling and stop doing the videos for a second, just so I could focus on my health. I also went completely ham on food for a second there, and just like I was dealing with a bunch of stress and the sickness, and it just so I'm you know we're focusing on the normal node since I'm just not doing any nodes right now. So this is just like, what do we breach off into? And, after you've learned how to gain control over when you eat, when you don't eat, and exactly what you eat, and to me, that's what the node cycling is best at doing. And it's for a temporary amount of time, but it just proves that I can do it, that I can do it, that I can do it. I move into mindful eating. Now, mindful eating, hear a bunch of stuff about. There's all sorts of weird tips that work for people that don't work for me. Trying to eat smaller bites. Nope. In fact, that actually almost turns it into mindless eating. If I try to portion out the size of a palm and only eat that, nope, not really for me. All of these different tips, the only real thing that works for me is a number system. And to kind of, and mantras at the same time. So I have, of course, number 1 through 10. And I started off at a 0, where it's like your stomach's growling at you. That is like you're empty, you're ready to refuel. I never allow myself, because of the patterning and speech and stuff, to call myself starving, because starving that doesn't make any sense. Starving would be maybe after a 72-hour fast, or some form of malnourished state where you had actually received like a detriment to your health because of how long you had not eaten. If you're at a 0, you're just hungry. You're just ready to eat now, honestly. And so I try to put it into like, really, like, I try not to eat unless I hit my 0, or I'm at least at a good solid 1, and then I try to make sure that I only go to a 5, so just to kind of express it, like a 2, you could still go for a jog and do yoga. A 3, you're still doing active working, and you could go to the gym, maybe do yoga, not yoga, but like you can do weights, you could possibly do something like that. A 4, your food is settled and you're up and you're ready, you still have energy to do what you need to do. And a 5 is like that perfect satiated state where your stomach really isn't like flexing on the food, it's just filled with the food, so it has like the right amount. There's certain ways that you can kind of tell when you're reaching a 5. You start to kind of slow down naturally in your food eating, and that's sort of when you need to think about it. I've noticed that if I burp, that can be a good signal to just kind of like sit, like, is that a 5? And oftentimes, if I'm at a restaurant or something, I'll accidentally get to a 6 or a 7, but it's not as often. And I'll eat something lighter for dinner or something because of it, to make up for it. I do notice I try to give myself little silly mantras at that point. I'm like, chill, Icarus, it's not an endless hill climb. You're actually declining in value on your food right now, because now it's getting to the point where you're actually going to start not liking the food because you're not going to like the food's effects on you. It's going to turn into one of those, like, I love cheesecake, but cheesecake hates me. Like, why would you want a negative emotion around something that's so good? Like a cheesecake. I love cheesecake. I want to keep loving cheesecake. So it goes all the way up to like a 10, which is I am, stuffed, which is definitely something I try to avoid. Again, the node cycling is where I feel like I get that flexibility and control. But that's definitely for the mindful eating for me, just using little happy mantras all the way and trying to keep it. So that when I go to a 5, then I can rest it to a 4. And if I notice that I'm like at a 4 or 3, I'll use the number that I'm down to like suggest an activity for myself, literally. So if it's 4, I'm like, time to get something done. Let's get some chores. If it's a 3, hey, maybe I need to do some exercise. If it's a 2, this is a perfect time for yoga. Again, I do that step up and the step down. And to me, just thinking about what number my stomach is at, that's the only thing I can do that actually slows my eating down at all. That makes me like pause, consider, and then I don't know. So another thing I've been doing is I've been carb tossing, so if I have like a burrito or something, a lot of times I'll just eat mostly the insides of it and like have a couple pinches of the tortilla. I do really think that a lot of this high protein kick stuff has been making it a lot easier for me to maintain energy and muscle, as well as, dietary satiety. I basically stacked my entire refrigerator with high protein. It was all Costco, so I got like 5 dozen eggs. I got the big old box of those Clif bars because I like pea protein. I try to avoid whey isolate. I don't know. It's just it's a byproduct is all I can say. So I don't really think I think they're using it because they have it. I don't think they're using it because it's all that great for us. But that's just personal opinion. I just don't like the acid in it. But then I have, let's see, I got a whole leg of lamb. I got grass-fed beef patties. I got, trying to look into the refrigerator. I made the beans with bean broth, with the bone broth, and then I have extra bone broth for anything else, or making egg drop soups. I got the Oikos 000 yogurts again, and then of course I still have my collagen powders. I always like the marine because it's really good for skin, although I'm out of that right now, so I have to order more, but I still have my beef collagen, which is good for your joints, muscles, everything else. And then I went ahead and added creatine to that too. Creatine has been helping me a lot. Like, as a person with ADHD, I feel like that's been the biggest natural supplement. As far as like Adderall mimicking, it does help me. It helps stimulate my brain in a way that helps me function better during the day. So that's basically the final node. And I have noticed that the better I do at that, the more, I wouldn't even have to do fasting or anything else. I wouldn't have to do node cycling or any kind of bone broth fasting or any kind of meat day or anything like that. The node cycling is just it kind of like washes you out of all those other eating patterns and stuff, and allows what I'm doing right now to be easier to do. But basically, if you could do just this and you didn't need any kind of fasting or whatever, and you didn't really care about the cellular structure repair or whatever, doing just this would be great and fine and help you lose weight all by itself. And that's sort of the point of the final node. It's after you've, whitewashed it all free, this is what you're more free to adapt to. I do still eat, fruits and vegetables and stuff like that. I didn't make it in the list, but they're here. I just, I'm focusing on the proteins that I bought, the different things that I'm using. I also I switched from butter to using grass-fed tallow. That seems to be kind of helping. Plus, it's really tasty. And I got that inked keto bread again for like egg salad sandwiches, lamb sandwiches and stuff. My favorite thing is for the lamb is I roast up the whole thing, but because I can't eat that much in a day and I can't eat rotted, foods, it's good for like 2 days and then I gotta throw it away. So I slice it up and then I freeze it, and then I just kind of take out little portions to defrost, and so it'll be like fresh from the freezer that day. And so that's what I've been focusing on. I hope that this was helpful, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask. So far, this is just for documenting, and hopefully we'll be moving into more things like breath work and yoga, different routines and things like that that'll help bring it all together. This is sort of like an overall lifestyle change page. I believe in using our bodies to the best of our advantage, fueling to the best of our advantage, and realizing that when we control every one of our systems, we really have the ultimate function of ourselves available to us. And it's all about accessing that so we can basically be living our best life. Cheers.